2 of activity 2 of this assignment. You've made it. Today, in this activity, we're going to compare a story and an audio on that website. So let's get to it. So we've made it to stop 2, and it says the arrival. And here's the story. The trip across the Atlantic Ocean was rough. The ships were crowded and dirty, so most passengers were very tired when they arrived in New York Harbor. One of the first things they saw was the Statue of Liberty, which has stood on its own island in the harbor since 1886. People would cheer when they spotted this famous symbol of America. Some would weep with joy as the ship passed by. Health officers would board the ship in the harbor and look for signs of diseases. If the ship passed their inspection, doctors then would check the health of first and second class passengers on the ship. These lucky few were processed quickly and could leave the ship when it docked at New York City. But third class passengers often would wait for hours or days until a smaller ferry boat took them to Ellis Island for immigration processing. And over here to the side, it says, did you know a 15-year-old girl was the first Ellis Island immigrant? Only 75% of a ship's passenger went to Ellis Island. So just looking at that and just looking at that story, what do you think? First hand or second hand? You're correct. It is second hand account. Why? Because who is telling the story? Yes, it is a person telling the story, but are they there? Are they there and are we seeing it from their experience? No. We know that because it never says I. It never talks in first person. It always says a people or the passengers or they. That's how we know this is in second hand account. Here is a audio that we're going to listen to really quick. Before I read the audio, the oral history of Lawrence Menwald from Poland. Lawrence Menwald recalls coming to America from Poland in 1920 at age 6. His family traveled in steerage. Menwald described the ship, the sleeping arrangements, the food, and seeing the Statue of Liberty for the first time. Let's take a listen.
Okay, now we got on the boat, and of course we went steerage. Steerage meant a horrible experience, but to me as a youngster, I guess it was fun. We slept in double-decker beds, bunks. My mother had a double-decker bunk, and my father had a double-decker bunk with myself on the top. And I guess my sister slept with her. And food was not good. The conditions were terrible, and the food was so bad that my father and I would sneak up to an upper class. They were barricaded. You weren't allowed to go, but we snuck up there and we found garbage cans on the deck in the corner. And the garbage of the first class passengers were placed there. And the sailors used to throw pieces out for the gulls. And we would steal from the garbage can pieces of meat, even though we were kosher, but we were so hungry that we took them.
So what's it like coming into New York Harbor finally?
Well, one morning there was a complete rumble, which got louder and louder and louder. We couldn't identify it when it was. It was very early in the morning. Maybe 6, maybe 7 in the morning. I have no idea. But it was very, very early in the morning at daybreak. And we heard this tremendous rumble, which got louder and louder and louder. So my father and I, we dressed immediately. We ran out to the deck. And there were people of all denominations, some on their knees making the sign of the cross, Jews in their prayer shawls, as we were passing the Statue of Liberty. It was the